I'm Mike McClellan. My dad was Donald Carl McClellan, and he died of Alzheimer's about 8 years ago.
My name is Todd Sherman. My father, Jim Sherman, passed away from Alzheimer's about 2 years ago.
Hi, my name is Rolf Ashworth, and I'm going to talk about an episode I had when I was a young man where I developed a case of Bell's palsy.
Hello, my name is Shirley Collier, and my husband, James Collier, aka Billy, has dementia.
But he was visiting me in Indiana, and we were going kayaking on the White River, and Dad had been canoeing and kayaking for 40 years. And I noticed when we were getting out, finishing our trip, Dad was trying to load his boat on the roof of the truck, and he couldn't figure out how to position the boat and get it on the roof rack, and he was struggling with it. And I just sat there and watched. I thought, man, what's going on? What's he doing? And he's done this 1,000 times. And finally, I went over and I helped him, and I put it up on the roof, and it was a very simple thing. And then he was trying to tie the boat down, and he was trying to tie knots that he had tied 1,000 times, and he couldn't do that either. So I got a little suspicious that he was having problems, and so I asked, when we get back to the house, I asked my mom, I said, so what's going on with Dad? Why is he having, it seems like he's struggling with easy stuff. And she told me that they had visited the doctor. And so
She took him to a neurologist who had him tested, and they diagnosed him in early stages of Alzheimer's. Again, my mom kind of just saw him forgetting things, that he would forget to do things that he would normally do, and he would ask my mom things that he should have known the answers to.
But I woke up one day, went to work. I worked in the operating room. I was an OR tech in the Navy, and I had a mask on, so I really couldn't, able to see what was going on. But something was strange. It was progressing, throughout the morning. I went to the bathroom and I looked, and my whole face was like this, and I couldn't smile. I couldn't do anything.
but it physically impacted him in terms of psychomotor skill wise. He couldn't do things that he had done forever, and he couldn't do certain tasks that he had done.
So physically, the impact it had on him was he was very unsteady, very shaky. His hands would tremor almost. When we were at dinner, he would, when he was shaking, when he would pass something, he would physically shake the whole time he was passing it, sometimes spilling things when he was doing it. He also became significantly weaker. He could not, growing up, he was always the strongest man I knew physically, and he could not help carry things or do things. We had to go over and do even the most mundane things, such as changing light bulbs.
It was difficult to drink. I couldn't drink without using a straw because it would all dribble out of my mouth. I couldn't speak as well. I had a speech impediment. So it was pretty devastating. And I was very depressed for a while.
I don't know. A lot of times he will call and think he's not in his home. He wants to go upstairs to a third bedroom, and we don't have an upstairs. So the thing is, with all these problems, with some of his radical behavior, it's hard to deal with because I am the only person that's here with him.
Emotionally, my dad was kind of a Renaissance man. He could cook, he could sew, he could play musical instruments, he was an athlete, he could do all these things, and he was very proud of the fact that he was doing triathlons when he was in his 60s, and he recognized that this was limiting him, and he couldn't do all the stuff that he used to be able to do. And so that was very upsetting to him. It was a very big part of who he was as an individual and as a person, as a man. And how it impacted me was, well, I wanted to say, well, gosh, if Dad, who's done everything right in terms of taking care of himself and doing all the things you do to prevent Alzheimer's, is succumbed to this, what's the point? Why should I go to the gym every day? Why should I worry about my diet? Why should I worry about my health? And
The bigger impact, though, was probably emotionally, both for my mom and my dad. For my dad, he became easily frustrated, um, became angry at times, um, and he um, was confused a lot. This really angered him because he was always a person who was in control of everything he did, and not being able to be in control of himself or the people around him really had an emotional impact on him. For my mom, though, it's probably worse. She um, was a constant caregiver, and she um, would cry often about it because she, like I said, him being the man of the house, and he was always in control of things, and now my mom had to do things that he would normally do, or pay someone to do what he would normally do. There also was a time when he began walking around the house at night. He would get up out of bed, and my mom would find him in the garage or outside, things of that nature, and that became very emotionally stressful for her, and it made her not sleep as well. And then when the time came where we had to put my dad in a home, that my mom felt like she was abandoning him.
Didn't do anything for a long time. I was they kept doing tests on me and all these EMG tests. I don't remember what they were, but they were testing to see if my nerves were still dead, if I had any reaction with these electrical impulses they put on my cheek. I didn't have any, and it was really pretty devastating because I was 19 years old. Your prime of your life. I looked like somebody that just had a stroke.
It's been tough. I've taken care of him for 11 years. Right now, he's in his bedroom and he is calling me. I have to back away because I've taken care of him all during this time. And it is such an emotional, I'll probably get emotional just talking about it because it just changes your whole life. And you can't go anywhere unless you have someone here to be with him. Um, we're not able to have a life as we've known. We can't go anywhere, do anything unless some friends come.
so it made me very thankful for what I have, and that I try to look at, take advantage of every opportunity I have to live my life as fully as I can, and um, appreciate all the opportunities that I have, and recognize that it's a finite thing, and you gotta do it when you can do it. So anyway, that's kind of our story.
In the future, if I find myself in that situation where I need the help, I am going to ensure that my family knows that I'm okay with them getting secured care quicker than I had done for my dad. So that's it.
I kind of went back to my normal routine. I definitely have empathy and sympathy for anybody who experiences the same problem and it doesn't correct itself, because that's just not a pleasant way to go through life. Anyways, that's my story.
But I chose to do this because he's my friend of 63 years. We've been married for 62. The most wonderful man and just the most wonderful father, husband, and grandfather. And I'm getting emotional now because, due to the fact of his illness, we have no family members that come. We have very close friends, and that's what breaks my heart. But the thing is we met so long ago, and the reason I take care of him is because I love him. I remember him when he was a young man, and our journey that we have been on, and I'll continue taking care of him as long as I can because our deep love. Thank you so much for listening to my story because it is sad, but I have wonderful memories.